Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Welcome back from Eid holidays and a belated Eid Mubarak to you all. I'm sure you must have had a great family time during these holidays. Today we are here with our first lecture from the new syllabus of grade 6. We'll start our journey with high hopes and a very positive attitude. I hope we all will have a great time together. Before proceeding towards the lesson, I want all of you to bring your textbook, a notebook, and a pen or a pencil to record the important points side by side. You can utilize any old notebook for this purpose, but it should be maintained properly and kept safe because your work can be checked anytime. So, we'll start our syllabus from Unit 3, the Ancient Egypt. It's on page number 24 of your World Watch History. Please open your books and keep highlighting the important lines that I'll be mentioning along with the lecture. Remember, it's important to follow all the given instructions as your notebooks and books will be checked in your Zoom lessons. At the end of this lesson, you all should have a complete knowledge about ancient Egyptians' life, archaeological evidences about their civilization, discovery of tombs, influence of religion on their ways of life, belief of life after death, discovery of Rosetta Stone. Whatever we'll read, we learn in this lesson, in the end you will be evaluated on the basis of all the knowledge that you have got. You will be given some questions to write on, so please be focused. Okay, let's go to Egypt. Oh no, wait, not really, but yes, we just have a look on some important information regarding Egypt. First of all, we have the flag of Egypt, and then beside that flag we have the city of Cairo, that is the capital city of Egypt. Next to that, our third picture is about the currency, that is pound. This is the currency of Egypt. In the lower column, we have some random pictures depicting some historical structures and buildings. Egypt was actually a land of sand in ancient ages and is still famous for its architectural background, but it has developed a lot. If you see the pictures that are depicting sand, that are depicting the architect of Egypt, and you compare it with the picture of Cairo, then you will observe a very visible and clear difference between the pictures. This is the picture of Cairo is from the modern Egypt, and other pictures in the lower column, three pictures, they are kept as legacy of the historical background of Egypt. First of all, we have our word bank. These are the words that you will be coming across during the lesson in the pages that are included in today's lesson. So these words are given with meaning so that you won't be feeling it difficult to understand the concept. Your first word is cluttered. Cluttered is covered or filled. Next is medley. Medley is a collection of anything. Pharaoh. Pharaoh is a ruler in Egypt. Tomb. Large underground vault for burying the dead. Unravel. Solve or resolve. Inscriptions, written or carved on something. Hieroglyphics, symbols or signs. Excavated, extracted by digging out. Okay, coming towards page 24 of your book, the first question that is posed for us is, what did Howard Carter discover? First of all, we should be knowing who was he. So in the fifth and sixth line, it is mentioned that he was a British archaeologist, and the date when he discovered something in ancient Egypt is November 8, 1922. The date is mentioned in the first line of your first paragraph. What did he discover? The answer is given in the 10th and 11th line. He discovered a strange and wonderful medley of extraordinary and beautiful objects heaped upon one another. An illustration of that tomb, whatever he discovered from there, is given in your book. There are some items that are presented in the picture. So I want all of you to make a list. Whatever you see, whatever you find in this picture, just make a list of these items. Any idea whose tomb was that was discovered by Howard Carter? It was an Egyptian pharaoh, Tutankhamun. But the question is how they got to know that it was Tutankhamun's or any other pharaoh's tomb. It was because there were some nameplates. The way the graves have some nameplates, in the same way, the name Tutankhamun was mentioned on the nameplates. That is why they got to know that it was this pharaoh's Egyptian king's tomb. It was a great discovery, and most importantly, the fact that it was robbed many times by the robbers, but still many of the artifacts were kept safe inside. Why do these discoveries mean a lot for the archaeologists, for the upcoming generations? What could be the reason? Any idea? These discoveries, they are important for the future generations, for the people coming later on in the later centuries, because they from these discoveries they get to know about the past, about the historical background of that specific place, about the ancient ages, that how their civilization started, how people were living in the old age, means the previous age, not the age actually. Okay, so tomb of this king Tutankhamun, it was discovered in 1922 by Howard Carter. What was inside the tomb? It had many artifacts. It contained many items that were made of pure gold, along with jewelry, the chariots of that age, the furniture, garments, ostrich feather fans, canopic jars containing internal organs of the king, food, and other simple jars as well. Wait, jars containing the preserved internal organs of the king? What is that? Please keep it in your mind. The answer is coming in the later slides. There were at least 3,000 items that were buried in that tomb. It took 10 years to fully clear the tomb because of the excessive number of items. Obviously, with such a large number, it was not easy for them to take them out from buried deep down areas, and the actual problem would be that they have to take them out without destroying them. Obviously, if a thing is destroyed, then it is not meant to be kept as as a historical legacy. Among all this discovery, the most important of all was the embalmed body of the king himself, that was wrapped in the linen strips with the gold death mask concealing his face and placed in solid gold coffin. So this was actually all that Howard Carter discovered in the tomb of Tutankhamun. You can match all these items, all these names with the list that you have made. And one question still remains, that what were the jars containing, why they were containing the preserved internal organs of the king. So this will be answered later on. Okay, on page number 25, we have a second question. Why do archaeologists know more about Egypt long ago than they do about the Indus Valley civilization? It has a very simple and very interesting answer, that one stone called Rosetta Stone, it was discovered in Egypt. It has all the inscriptions. Inscriptions means the things that are written on it in the ancient language about that specific era, the information about the civilization, about daily living routines, about the traditions of that era. So this Rosetta Stone, it actually helped the archaeologists to know more about this ancient Egyptian civilization. On the other hand, in Indus Valley, there was nothing recorded in that form or in any other form. Whatever was found was in the form of some artifacts, in the form of the burials, but the written records, they were never found. That is why the archaeologists, they know very less about Indus Valley civilization as compared to the Egyptian civilization. The picture of Rosetta Stone is in front of you on the right side. On the left side, we have the fact that is answering us the question, what was the Rosetta Stone? The Rosetta Stone was a tablet with an Egyptian inscription carved on it in the form of hieroglyphics. These hieroglyphics were actually the picture language that was used in that era. As archaeologists could already understand, ancient Greek, it meant they could work out the meaning of the hieroglyphics and everyday Egyptian writing for the first time. So, along with many other things, this Rosetta Stone was also a very precious and important discovery because it told us and all other nations, all other civilizations about the Egyptian past. On page number 26, we have a question related to the same thing that we have just discussed. How can archaeological evidence tell us about the life of ancient Egyptians? See, whatever we are finding about the ancient civilizations, it is all from the evidences that are found by archaeologists. Other than that, there is nobody living from that age, from that era, to tell us the stories of that era. If nobody is living, nobody has seen anything with his or her own eyes, then we would never have been able to know about these civilizations ever. And knowing about these civilizations is a very important thing. In the beginning, when we discussed about learning history in the first lecture of your session, it was like, why do we learn history? What is the importance of learning history? If the nations have passed, if the civilizations are diminished, destroyed completely, and they are no more around us, then what is the purpose of knowing about them? It is actually to learn lessons from our past. Lessons could be positive and negative, and as well positive in a sense that whatever they did to enhance their abilities, to get victories, to get some positivity in their lives, that we can follow. And whatever made them destroyed, whatever proved negative for them, we can avoid such factors. So this is the reason that learning history is very important, and the thing that is leading us towards the history, leading us back towards the history, is only these archaeological evidences that were found by archaeologists. Other than that, we would never have been able to learn about the past civilizations. Along with many other interesting facts that were found about ancient Egyptians, one thing was their religious beliefs. The belief that they were very different from the modern civilization. In the ancient ages, at that time, they used to worship sun as a god, and they named sun as Ra, R-A, Ra. Their belief was that their god, sun, is sailing across the sky in a boat, and whenever it was rising, that was the birth time of the sun, and whenever it was setting down at night in the evening, that was the time of death of the god. It means that again and again, every day, every rising time of the sun, the god was reborn, and every day when it was setting, it means that he was dying. Their another interesting belief was belief on the life after death. As Muslim, we do have the same belief that there will be life after death, but their belief was somehow different in a way that they used to believe that they will be rising up in the same world the way they are living at that they were living at that time. That is why they were burying all the treasures, all the precious things of that dead person along with the body. The world that they used to believe they will be rising, they would be a place like ancient Egypt, only they would live there forever without pain, suffering, or danger. This was their actual belief. Linked to their belief on life after death, there was another interesting fact that was a very common thing at that era. It was the process of mummification. Mummification means they were burying their dead bodies in a way that was a complete process, stepwise process. And because they were knowing that these bodies will be rising up someday and they will be needing their needful things, that is why they were burying them in the best of their shapes. So this process had some steps. First of all, they used to have some kind of glass instrument that was called obsidian. With that instrument, they used to cut open the body. After cutting open the body, the internal organs were then removed and they were placed separately in canopic jars. Remember, I told you the question will be coming. So these canopic jars, then during the process of mummification, they were used to place internal organs of the bodies. After that, they were removing all the internal organs, but heart was left in the body as it was believed to be the seat of all learning and knowledge. And due to their belief on another life or life after death, they used to keep the heart inside so that in the other life the body would be using the same heart. After removing all the organs, they used to put some kind of salt called natron on the body to dry out all the remaining moisture from it. After that, once the mummy was dried out, a wig was placed on its head with jewelry on its body to make it beautiful. After this process, the next step was wounding of the body with linen strips. White strips were used to wrap up whole body in a compact form. So this process was called mummification, and completion of this process for one body was taking 70 days. So imagine how longer it could have been. Okay, here is the video related to the process of mummification, in which you will be shown with all the steps that were used at that time. Please watch the video carefully. Playtime. Okay, you are being provided with some pictures. Please do not look for the boxes. Just in some quick seconds, in your brain, make a map and assign some numbers to these pictures. That what would be the first number, the second number, stepwise. We have just read about the steps of mummification, so these pictures are related to that. After you will be knowing the answer of the steps, then you can match your answers with it. I hope you will enjoy it. Okay, there are some interesting facts related to the beliefs of Egyptians. First of all, during the process of mummification, when they used to prepare the body for burial, first of all, they used to cut open it, that we have discussed. They used to remove the brain, and they were doing it by pulling it out through the nostril with a kind of hook. It seems weird, but I don't know. They were doing it as if they were skilled in it. Next fact is about some of the societal differences that were occurring there between richer and poor Egyptians. For richer Egyptians, certainly they were the kings. A tomb would include a book of the dead containing spells that would help the soul on its dangerous journey through the underworld. So this book or these spells, they were believing that whenever the body will be rising up again, it will be using these spells, and then its journey will be very easy. Moreover, a village was discovered by archaeologists. Its name was Pardemi. So they discovered that whosoever was working in the tomb and their families, they were living around the tombs, their houses were made of mud bricks, and they allowed the capacity of 100 liters of water per day, and they were bringing this water from river Nile by the donkeys. The quantity seems a lot, but they were managing to do it somehow. Next interesting thing is their diet. These things, whatever they were using as their diet, we are using right now as well in our diet. Their diet included fruits, vegetables, spices, onions, garlic, grapes, and dates, etc. So these all things we are utilizing as well. They were the diet of ancient Egyptians. Okay, time for your written work, time for assessment. Now we have discussed all the things, whatever we have discussed till here, all the questions are related to that information. If you have listened to it carefully, you will be able to answer them very easily. If you are confused somewhere, you can review the slides, you can listen to the lecture again, and then write your answers in your notebooks. Even then, if you are not finding any answer, if you are confused in any of the questions, then that question can be discussed in the Zoom lesson later on. But first of all, your efforts should be visible. You have to try it once, and even after trying, if you are not finding the answer, then you can ask the teacher. So your first question is, why do you think Howard Carter was so excited when he peered into Tutankhamun's tomb? So this question can have varied answers. Whatever your perception is, according to that, you can answer this question. One aspect could be that he was the first one to discover such large amount of artifacts in a tomb, because other tombs were not equipped well with these artifacts. The other reason of excitement could be the beautiful collection of the items that were unique as well, and nobody had ever found them. Even after being robbed for so many times, the artifacts in the tomb, they were kept safe. So anyway, whatever is your perception, according to that, you can answer your question. Your next question is, why did the ancient Egyptians take so much trouble to preserve the dead bodies? What were the reasons behind the process of mummification? Why they were taking so long to preserve the body? Why they were keeping all the things along with the body? All these things, the reasons you have to tell in your answer. Your third and last question is, how did the ancient Egyptians prepare their dead for the afterlife? So the process of mummification that we have learned right now, that will be coming here. You can take help from that, and it will be easy for you to remember if you will write it stepwise. I hope these questions are clear with you. That's all for today. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.